Pocahontas was not a sleeping beauty or a fairy tale princess. She was a princess that many people have heard of, but few people know her story. The true story of Pocahontas, who became popular with the Disney animation in the 1990s, was actually quite different. The life story of the princess who danced her bright hair in the wind and sang was actually quite tragic. Let's take a look at the true story of the famous Native American princess Pocahontas. Once upon a time, the Algonquin tribe lived in North America, north of the present-day United States. Pocahontas was basically a member of the royal family. Her mother's identity is unknown. However, her father, Chief Powhatan, was the leader of an alliance of about 30 tribes in the area known as Virginia today. In 1595, a daughter of the Algonquin chief was born. They named her Mataoka. Pocahontas's nickname was Mary I. She also had 26 brothers and sisters who shared her status as a princess. As a result, she was unable to reach high positions despite being the chief's favorite and most cherished child. According to sources, Pocahontas was a very lively, cheerful, and well-liked person. This is why she even charmed the English settlers who came to Powhatan lands in the 17th century. On July 14, 1607, some European entrepreneurs in Virginia came to Virginia and declared the Jamestown colonies. These English colonists were not yet ready to cultivate the land. As a result, they quickly weakened due to both hunger and disease. Captain John Rolfe, one of the first settlers, was also one of the people who would soon enter Pocahontas's life. One day, John Rolfe, the man we call, was captured by Powhatan hunters while walking around the river, and he is taken to the Powhatan homeland. The events that happened after this part of the story are based on legends based on different versions. According to what John Rolfe wrote in his memoirs, after a large banquet, he talked to the chief of the Powhatan tribe. However, in letters he wrote to Queen and 17 years later, John Rolfe wrote that Matoka had saved him from execution by shielding him with her body. It is widely believed that John Rolfe exaggerated the story to make it sound more appealing and to increase his reputation. While Matoka is portrayed as a young woman in the Disney animated film, she was actually only 10 years old when John Rolfe fell into the hands of the Powhatans. Therefore, it would not be right to assume that there was a romantic approach between them. The English colony was having a very difficult time adapting to living conditions. Only 34 people remained out of 100. Pocahontas frequently visited the colony founded in Jamestown and was trying to provide help during the period of food shortage. In fact, the natives were also trying to help the tribe. Unfortunately, they did not know that the intentions of the English were very different. The first goal of these men who settled in America was to make the native people Christian. After that, it was to take over their lands. Pocahontas married one of her own people in 1610, completely severing her ties with the English settlers. In the same years, drought, famine, and disease had already defeated the colonists, and they had to go to Powhatan to survive. At this point, Smith, who was accidentally injured in an explosion, returned to England in October 1609 for treatment. With the departure of John Smith, the relationship between the colony and the Indians gradually deteriorated. The English raided the tribes in the region, killing some of the natives and capturing others. In 1612, the English raided the tribes and captured the natives to work as slaves. The English decided that the best thing they could do was to kidnap the chief's daughter. At an appropriate time, they lured Pocahontas to the shore and took her away by ship. The 17-year-old princess was now among their prisoners. Pocahontas was held captive for about a year, during which time she met English merchant John Rolfe. Rolfe promised to free the princess in exchange for marrying him. Pocahontas accepted this offer. In 1612, Rolfe took the princess to London, where she was baptized. It is not known why the princess accepted baptism or other Christian practices, but she may have thought it was her only way to survive. She may also have believed that it would bring peace to the two cultures. Pocahontas married Rolfe in 1614, thousands of kilometers from her homeland. She had no choice, and if she ever returned, this marriage could perhaps protect her tribe. However, Pocahontas could never get used to London, could not adapt to its climate or air. She also felt homesick. She wanted to return to the land where she was born and raised. Meanwhile, her weakened body had a collapsed immune system. The couple married on April 5, 1614, and their son Thomas was born about a year later. The family lived on Rolfe's tobacco farm for several years. This was the first interracial marriage recorded in the history of North America. The princess tried to return, but she failed. While crossing the Thames River, Pocahontas contracted a disease believed to be dysentery or typhoid. She died on March 21, 1617, at the age of 21. She was taken ashore in the town of Gravesend and burned there after her death. In 1617, the Algonquian people, who believed they had been deceived after the death of their chief, turned against the English. They rose up without regard for the white man's firearms. This uprising led to their demise, resulting in genocide. Only 1,000 people remained from a tribe of 8,000. In 1922, a statue of Pocahontas was erected in the St. George Church in Jamestown. In 1995, the Walt Disney Company produced a cartoon called Pocahontas. This cartoon was Disney's first character of a race other than the white race. And again, it was inspired by a real person for the first time. The story was a great success all over the world as a romantic love story. But the princess's real life was very different from the love story. She had been deprived of her country, her family had been killed, and she had been forced to change her beliefs. Pocahontas left behind a son named Thomas Rolfe. And the children born took the name of the Red Rolfes. Today, the descendants of that red-haired princess live on in her name. Please subscribe to the channel to be aware of similar videos. See you in new videos.